God wants the world to be a good place and a happy place. This is how He made things in the very beginning. But His children stopped trusting Him, and they started doing things their own way. This is how the world became broken, and how families became broken, and how people became broken. But God didn't stop loving His children. Because His children had stopped paying any attention to Him, God decided to pick one family and to pour His love into them. He knew that other families would see the difference that this made, and He hoped this would make them rethink the way they were living. He hoped that when they saw how good and kind He was to this one family, they would start to trust Him again. God chose Abraham and his wife Sarah to be the start of this special family. Over time, their little family grew and grew. It became hundreds and then thousands of people. It became tens of thousands of people. This growing family lived in Egypt. When other people saw how much God loved them and blessed them, they became afraid of Abraham's family. The Egyptian Pharaoh was worried that maybe one day this family would become richer and stronger than the Egyptians, so he made them slaves and treated them cruelly. But Abraham's family kept on growing. This made Pharaoh and his people even more scared of them, and they came up with a plan to destroy them. Pharaoh ordered that every baby boy that was born into Abraham's family must be thrown into the river Nile to drown. Abraham's family cried out to God, and because He loved them, He stepped in to rescue them. He sent a man called Moses to the Egyptian Pharaoh with this message: God says, "Let my people go." Pharaoh ignored God's message. Instead, he made God's people work even harder and longer. God was not pleased with this, so God sent Pharaoh signs to warn him. God wanted Pharaoh to know that he was prepared to rescue his people by force if necessary. First of all, the water in all the rivers in Egypt turned to blood. Then the Egyptians got sick, their animals died, and their farms were destroyed by storms. Pharaoh kept promising to let God's people go if only the warnings would end. But each time God made things normal again, Pharaoh would change his mind. So God warned him that there was going to be one last sign that would be worse than all the others. Because Pharaoh would not listen, all the oldest boys in Egypt were going to die, but God's people were going to be kept safe. He told Moses what to do. Every family had to pack all their things and be ready to leave at once. They were to put the blood of a lamb around the door of their house, and this would stop death from entering their houses. All their children would be safe. That night, all the eldest Egyptian boys died, and all of God's children were kept safe. Finally, Pharaoh let God's people go. Moses led them out of Egypt, but as soon as they were gone, Pharaoh changed his mind again. He sent his soldiers after God's people to bring them back. The people were afraid because the Egyptian soldiers were chasing them, and the sea was in front of them. But God made a strong wind blow so hard that a road was made through the sea. God's people escaped across the sea, and when Pharaoh's soldiers tried to follow them, the wind stopped blowing and the road disappeared. All the soldiers were destroyed in the sea. God had rescued his people. Now they knew how much he loved them and that he would protect them and care for them.